Let's do this. We're getting ready to go live. Are we live at this moment? We
Yes.
are live. It said you are live. There's always a delay on this computer, so bear with me, folks. We have a special. On Thursdays, we have top fives, but tonight we're going to dedicate it to one of our hosts, the Wrestling Doll. She's going to give us her top five women matches. It's going to be an interesting show. We're going to give it that Tuesday night flavor. And I hope that we have an intro. Do we have an intro? We do have an intro. So we're going to hit this intro, and we'll see you after the intros.
You're muted again.
Okay, great. I had to wait a minute because, my computer's so slow. That's why it's always I have to do it like this. That's because I'm waiting. But anyway, this is not about me. Guys, you're watching Unpopular View Top 5. We have top fives here on Thursdays. And we are having a special. Wrestling Doll, please take the floor and talk about what this top five is and what it means to you.
So, first of all, hello everyone who is watching tonight on our UPR special top 5 review. And I see we're being joined by someone down here.
How you doing?
Devon,
what's up?
The King.
How y'all doing?
Sir, where's your crown?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, right, I have my hat.
Let me go and get mine.
Go get your crown, sir. Please go get your crown. But please take the floor because this special is about you. It is your birthday weekend, Wrestling Doll. And we're just going to sit here and give commentary about he does have his crown. He has a crown. There we go.
There you go.
I mean, I feel like you have to go with it. If you're saying King Von, I was trying to do the King Booker, but it doesn't. King Bana. There were King Bana. There we go. You got to have the crown. You got to go with the gimmick, brother. But, she's going to give us her top 5. We're going to give the commentary on these matches. Women wrestling definitely has improved over the, I don't know, I want to say 10 years, 5. I'm sorry. I feel like there's someone in the background saying that's definitely 5. But it has improved a lot over the years. So it's going to be interesting to hear what your top 5 is, Wrestling Doll, and me and Vaughn will be here to just give some commentary. Vaughn, how do you feel about women's, before she goes and break down into the top 5, how do you feel about women's wrestling?
I enjoy it. I absolutely love women's wrestling because I feel like women's wrestling is what drives, wrestling forward even more. Women's wrestling is a backbone of wrestling. So it's just like, it brings a whole different dynamic and element when it comes to wrestling, and just to see the women grow by leaps and bounds compared to where they were, even like as far back as like the Attitude Era and before, and ever since, really, like I said, I've always been. Now I'm not gonna be long, but I've always been a fan.
No, take the floor, please.
The likes of of Trish, Lita, Chyna, the likes of those. Shout out to Jacqueline. But the thing is, like now, from the women's revolution on down, they have become more polished. They've become more defined in the ring, and so it's just like the quality of the matches have gone up significantly. So like I'm a bigger advocate of women's wrestling than I've ever been before.
No, and I agree to that because I know that era, and the floor is going to be yours, all yours, Wrestling Doll. So we just want to just point out the importance of it, how different it was 15, 20 years ago. And I know what we're talking about. I know what I'm talking about, Ron, when you think about women's wrestling once upon a time, and they were doing the bra and panty matches, like if there was Thanksgiving, I don't know if it was called a gravy match. I can't think of it. But, they had like this, they had those kind of things, and
inflatable pools and stuff that could be put in inflatable pools. Best believe they will make those. They would have made those women wrestling that at that time.
Oh, let me tell you real quick, if I can, and the floor is yours, Wrestling Doll. I was reminded. I played WWF No Mercy, and I remember when I was going for the women's championship, there was literally a bikini competition. And you know who won the bikini competition, Wrestling Doll? Mae Young. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. and then it broke into a fight. I never forgot. I was like, this is very well. Shout out to Mae Young, because she's a tough old woman, and I'm pretty sure if she was still here, she would break a lot of people. Yes, she would break a lot of young dudes. But please, Wrestling Doll, why don't you take the floor? I don't know if you want to break into your honorable mentions or your top 5. I mean, the floor is yours. Me and Vaughn are here just to give some thoughts about these matches. So please take the floor. The floor is yours. You're in a safe place. You don't have to worry about working with the executive consultant. He's somewhere hamming it up with Oscar the Grouch.
All right. So for this, I decided to dive deep into the beginnings for me as far as when I started watching women's wrestling. So when I first started watching wrestling, I would find matches like on YouTube. I would get popped up in my recommendations, and I would be like, based on like the thumbnail, I'd be like, oh, this looks cool. Maybe I'll give it a look and see how it went. So a lot of the matches that actually every match that I have on my list is going to be from like the past 5 years. There's not going to be any that's going to be like older. I've started watching that stuff more in the past year and a half, but I just want to put it out there. I know people are going to be like, oh, but the matches from before were better, or some of them had better quality or better storytelling. Well, some of these I just preferred, and they just happened to be from a little bit earlier in the years from the last few years. So I'm going to briefly say my honorable mentions real quickly, and then we will get into the top 5. I have 6 honorable mentions, although I did cheat with the first honorable mention because I did watch that one a little recently when doing my research for the top 5 for Bray Wyatt. So at number 11, I have Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville in the Loser Leaves WWE No DQ match, SummerSlam 2020. Number 10 is War Games 2019 with Team Baszler versus Team Rhea. Number 9, Asuka versus Ember Moon NXT Women's Championship TakeOver Brooklyn 3.
It was a damn good match.
Great match.
Versus Bayley TakeOver Brooklyn, number 1. Number 7, NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series 2019.
Ooh.
And number 6, Natalya versus Ruby Riott in the Tables match TLC 2018.
Wow.
People dog on Ruby Riott for Natalya, but that match is one of the first ones I've seen, and I love it.
Wow.
Same matter of fact, when you said that, I thought that was Evolution, but okay, that was you said TLC, right?
2018.
Okay.
I had to look on
Great
YouTube.
research.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
So now we're going to break it down to the top 5.
That's honorable mentions.
Those are honorable mentions.
Very
Good stuff.
Yes, I called an executive consultant. I had to have some honorable mentions. I can't pick just 5. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It is hard. I mean, when you have a top 5 and you're like, I have to cut this out. I was listening to an interview recently with Nick Aldis, and they were talking about what is your Mount Rushmore of Canadian wrestlers? And he said, oh my God, that's so hard because there's a list of people. And then if you miss somebody out, they're like, especially in the wrestling dirt sheets, they're like, oh, Nick Aldis don't like Roddy Piper because he didn't include
Bret Hart got
so,
number 1, no matter who.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Like this.
Yes, thank you.
You can forget everybody else, but yeah, Bret's one you don't leave out. But not to cut you off, but also like when it comes to women's wrestling, because the fact that I came up with like last year as a start the podcast during Women's History Month, I came up with a list of like my top 10 women's wrestlers, top 10 greatest women's wrestlers of all time. And in fact, this past March, I was doing spotlights on various women's wrestlers, all throughout the month. And so like I said, I look forward to to see what the rest of your list is going to look like. So when it comes to greatest match, I'm thinking. In fact, next year, I'm thinking about doing something as far as like the greatest women's matches, or like expanding my list to like top 50 greatest women's wrestlers. It's like I did from top 50, male wrestlers overall in general. But I'm thinking about expanding that. But keeping ears out on that. But yeah. Like I said, I'm looking forward to what the rest of what your top 5 is going to look like.
All right. So here we are. Number 5 on my list is Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. Now,
wow.
As some people know from when I've mentioned it before on UPR, and I've mentioned it on my YouTube channel, the video that I made on my year of being into wrestling and my story of how I got into it. WrestleMania 37 was my first WWE thing that I've ever watched. And yes, I did see Rhea there, but I wasn't paying too much attention to it at the time. However, when I found this match online, this is the match that made me fall in love with Rhea Ripley as a wrestler. The storytelling was just great. I mean, we got to see the destruction of the former Miss Shayna Two Belts and seeing Rhea Ripley rise up and becoming a star in terms of her NXT career to putting out bangers such as War Games 2019, her match with Charlotte and Io. But this is the match that made me fall in love with Rhea Ripley as a women's wrestler. And she is, and always will be, one of my goats of all time. And props to Jane. This is where we saw her as a dominant force, even though the main roster has diminished it, then brought it up, diminished it, brought it up. They keep going up and down. They need to stop. Pick a side.
You know, I have some commentary on it, but Vaughn, please take the floor first. I think that was a great pick. What do you think about this match here with Rhea against Shayna?
Very interesting. You know what I mean? Like I said, as far as NXT Rhea, you know, and like I said, that's when, as we all know, that's when she first made her mark. And when you look at the roster that of NXT, as far as like the women's roster NXT at that time, around that 2018 time period, you look at Rhea, you look at Shayna, you look at Bianca, Raquel as well, I believe. You know what I mean? So yeah. You know, so as far as that, and you know, and like I said, like for that match to be on your list, you know, speaks volumes of the talent at that time. Speaks volumes to the roster, to, you know, like I said, to the quality at the time. And so so this was just a sneak peek of who Rhea could be. And so, you know, so of course, like later now we is it Jackson being consistent or whatever. But yeah, like I said, the thing about it is that, like I said, of course we've seen that manifest more than ever now. But also like just look at who Shayna was on NXT. NXT Shayna was just a whole nother level. You know what I mean? If I had to compare it to somebody, that's pretty much Deathstroke right there. You know what I mean? Like NXT Shayna was. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting comparison. That's actually an interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. So like I said, you know, like when you think about it, but like I said, you know, Rhea going against somebody like that, like I said, you know, it's certainly like a great quality match, you know, for what they presented. So, you know, like I said, no issues. You know, that's who you want on your list. That's who it is.
There you go. I wanted to see JL because I feel like, so my actual last name is Jackson. So when I see Jackson being consistent, I don't know if that's towards me. I'm confused, but JL, shout out to him. He's on the NXT review show. When we review NXT, he's a big Braun Breaker fan. And he will let everyone know if something is going wrong with Braun Breaker. Matter of fact, my nickname for him is
on TV.
Oh yeah, no, he gets very upset. I call him Jay Break or Break J. Yeah, I renamed people in the chat. Like I haven't been told to not do that yet. This match was really, really good. I remember this match. I remember watching it. Rhea was hot. Rhea came from NXT UK, like you mentioned, with the War Game match. She got the pinning fall on Shayna Baszler, and you knew it was a matter of time that they were going to put the title on her. I mean, they looked at her immediately like you almost knew immediately that they were going to put the rocket on her back. On the main roster, and I definitely agree with Wrestling Doll, has been ups and downs, but I feel like the thing consistent about her is that they will put her on TV because they really like her. And look, and when you look at Rhea Ripley's career, right? Royal Rumble winner, NXT UK Women's Champion, NXT Women's Champion, Raw SmackDown Women's Champion. I mean, she's almost done it.
Tag team champion.
I almost forgot that. Grand Slam. She has pretty much done it all. We got Becky versus was that Charlotte or Charlie? I feel like it says Charlie at Evolution. I think he met Charlotte.
Yeah, I think he met Charlotte.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting
watch list. I still haven't seen it yet.
So I won't hold the floor. I won't hold the floor much, but I think that was a really good pick. You know, and you like and Shayna, and poor Shayna, because I really like Shayna a lot, and I would really like more for her on the main roster. But long as she's still there, it's never too late. I mean, all it takes is a few wins and a good program, and you can be rebuilt. But I just wanted to point that out because I was a big fan of Shayna Baszler in NXT because she was killing girls. She was killing girls. She was really killing.
Nia doesn't kill her now.
What is your number 4 wrestling dog?
All right, so number 4, staying in NXT for this one.
Hey, listen, we do an NXT show. We do an NXT show, so fantastic. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. So
I'm the
number
best.
4, we going fast forward a few years. We have Candice LeRae as the Poison Pixie versus Miss Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship at TakeOver 31.
Ooh.
I've seen their other matches. All their other matches were great. They had a great feud. They had a great storyline. That won't be topped with Io as far as one of her best feuds. This match was insane. Candice getting into her dark, tough side was perfection. And I loved, and I will always die at when Johnny comes out with the ref shirt trying to help his wife win the title. And still, even after everything, she still winds up losing, and Io retains as being the strongest champion before challenging and passing the torch to Raquel Gonzalez.
It's been a minute since I watched that match. I'm gonna have to watch that back. But Io as
Women's Champion.
Io as NXT Women's Champion was just fantastic. And I'm really happy about her success so far on the main roster. I know she's a champ. She's supposed to have a match, I believe, tomorrow with Asuka, right? I think they're supposed to have a encounter, and I look forward to seeing that because I think that these two can deliver. So, interesting pick. I would have to watch that match back. It's been a while, but and someone like Candice LeRae, right? I hope they start using her a little bit more on the main roster.
Utilize her better too on the main roster. I mean, this woman has had intergender matches before she went on the main roster as an indie star. She's wrestled her husband. She's wrestled Cedric Alexander. She's wrestled somebody like 5 times her size.
Right.
She's a tough cookie. She looks tiny, but she's a tough cookie.
Hey, did you ever see that clip where one of the Young Bucks hit her with a super kick and they had like thumbtacks on their shoes or something like that? She is a tough cookie, but and she's a tough cookie because my medical would have said we're not covering you because you're an idiot. She definitely is a tough cookie. But Vaughn, please take the floor. What did you want to have any thoughts about this pick?
You know, like I said, honestly, to be honest, I hadn't quite seen the match myself, but at the same time, I respect where Wrestling Dog comes from, as far as her, sort of like experience when it comes to women's matches, and so it's all about your opinion. It's all about what your preferences are. So like I say, like I said, once again, I respect the choice that you have.
That's right. See, Wrestling Dog, you're in a safe spot. You got King Von, you got the Great Grand Poobah, or what I've been dubbed on Tuesday, Grand Slam. Let's go. Let's get that hashtag going. Grand Slam. Yes. Someone has an iPhone.
Not me.
Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. It's all right. Listen, I have an iPhone. We don't apologize for our loud ringtones. All right, we want to make sure that we hear it because sometimes you just can't feel the vibe. That sounds so awful. Wrestling Dog, what is your number 3?
All right, so for number 3, we're moving up to the main roster. We're going into another pay-per-view. My very first tables, ladders, and chairs match. Ooh. That being the triple threat, Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Charlotte at TLC 2018.
Ooh.
Now, when I first saw this match, I had never seen a tables, ladders, chairs match. So I did not know what was going on, why they were pulling all that stuff out, why the ref wasn't DQing them. Mind you, I was still a fresh little baby into the world of wrestling, so I knew nothing about that. And any indie matches I'd seen did not do any of that, so I didn't know what was going on. But when I saw this match and when I saw all the stuff that they were doing, when Asuka jumped from the ladder and attacked both of them, or maybe that was Becky. I had to rewatch it real quick to remember. But that match was batshit insane. Went through the roof. Becky went in as champion, but Asuka came out victorious and beat 2/4 of the horsewomen.
I like that.
You want to take the floor first, King Von?
I think
I
he
mean,
does.
like I said, I don't want to dominate the conversation, but thanks a lot. But like I said, I figured if we were going to talk about greatest women's matches, you got to mention, like I said, the three of the absolute best when you look at Charlotte, Becky, and Asuka. Like absolute legends and future Hall of Famers, and to put them in a TLC match, I mean that's the ingredients for that's ingredients for something great. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, when it came to that, like I said, that's like if anything, absolutely love that choice, especially consider who is in that match on this list. You know what I mean? So of course, like when you talk about the greatest, like when you talk about names like that, they're definitely going to be much higher up on a lot of people's lists. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, with all three of them together, an explosion. You know what I mean? So
you're talking about three, and I don't know if they ever have like women as first ballots, but I would sit here and say these three women are first ballot Hall of Famers. You got Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Asuka, and for a minute I was like, I remember that match, but not completely. I remember being so happy that Asuka won because there was a period of time where you said it was 2018, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So 2018, she faces Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Now look, I always give Charlotte her flowers. I'm not one of those fans that go like, oh, she only got it because of her last name. No, she got it because of her talent.
that's right.
Her talent.
Say it again. Say it louder.
Her talent kept her there. Now, the last name might have got her through the door, sure, but her talent kept her because Vaughn and you watch wrestling. I feel like at the same amount of time as I have, and you've seen a lot of third, second generation wrestlers, and they were shown the door because their talent didn't keep them there. Her talent kept her there. Now, I say all that to say, when I saw Charlotte beat Asuka, I was not a fan of that. I just was not happy with it. It happened. It's already in the books. Nothing you could do about it. But I wasn't a fan of it.
Right.
Later on, Carmella was the SmackDown champion, and I could get why they like. A few years later, I could see. Oh, I could see why she was the champion. She was a heel champion. Chicken poo poo heel. I'm trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
But chicken poo poo heel. But it bothered me that Asuka could not beat Carmella, and Asuka was dominating women. For she held that title for 500 something days. I don't have the exact number, but she held it for all this time.
I'm gonna look up for you while we're talking. Go ahead.
Thank you. But she held it for so long, and it bothered me. And there was a time where I was like, "Why are they booking her like that?" I understood that she had to lose at some point. I got that. I understood it. But the way she would lose, I wasn't a fan of it. So when I saw her, how many days?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but 522 days recognized as the NXT Women's Champion.
Fantastic. You know who didn't have 520 days? Bill Goldberg. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's right.
Yeah, because he's a lot.
We're going to get that every time we're with him. That's guaranteed.
Just like with Knox when it comes to calling Charlotte the greatest. Same thing.
Yes.
That's so big.
Seeing her, and I won't hold the floor too much, and I apologize for taking her so long, but her climbing up the ladder, grabbing the championship, I said I was so satisfied seeing that for her because I just think Asuka is so great, and that's once again another I said earlier, first ballot Hall of Famer. She's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, just the body of work that she has done, and all the accomplishments. I mean, you think about her winning the Raw, SmackDown,
the first Women's Royal Rumble.
Yes, Money in the Bank, and also tag team champ. The only thing she didn't win was the NXT UK champ, and I was sitting here and say she didn't win it because she didn't go to NXT UK because I can't help but say she
her versus Mako would have been amazing.
Oh my God, yes.
Asuka, in my estimation, when it comes to greatest Japanese women's wrestlers, to me, she is number one. And when you talk about greatest, yeah, go ahead.
No, please take the floor. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, just when it comes to greatest, like when you talk about like the all-time greatest, like, and I'm not gonna hold up the floor because I want to hear your top two. But the thing about it, like when you talk about greatest Japanese women's wrestlers, like I said, you think about Bo Nakano and and other names like that. But I think Asuka has elevated that to like a whole nother level, to the point where you put her in the conversation among the greatest Japanese wrestlers male or female. You know, like and along with Inoki, Great Muda, Jushin Liger, you know, whoever else you want to name, you know, Fujinami, whatever. She is in that conversation along with the rest of them.
I want to tag a little bit more on what Vaughn was saying, because there was a period where, and I'm pretty sure everyone heard this, but there was a period where they were like, oh, WWE don't know how to book Japanese wrestlers. And she was, in the way that they booked her, we were able to get stuff like her, Kairi Sane, and I'm just talking about like after Asuka, right? Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, and maybe there's somebody else, and I just can't think of it on the top of my head, but I look at those women, and I'm sitting there saying these women delivered and proved that they can be booked in a proper way. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought that was important to say that. We got Chris in the chat, not Grandpa Harris. I'm glad he's not here because but we got Chris. He says Bayley was the first woman to become a Grand Slam champion and first ballot. I agree. She's definitely first ballot hog. I totally concur. We got Jeffrey. We got Drumtastic Jeffrey in the chat. Fatal 4-way with Io, Asuka, Miko, and Kairi.
Ooh! I would pay $1 million to see that in person, front row.
If I had money, I would pay, but I'm broke. So I would have to watch it on.
Pay that much just to see.
I will watch it on the Peacock, and I will sit here and give a review and say, "Wow, I would hate to take the E train with these women because they would beat me up." But please, Wrestling Doll, this is your show. Me and Vaughn are coming out with the commentary. Vaughn, thank you. Real quick, I want to say thank you for showing up. You came with the crown, you came up with the knowledge and stuff like that. It's your and Wrestling Doll, you have the hat. I'm wearing a do-rag because
I have my DG Dolan / Alicia Fox hat.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna
notice that.
There we go. I was gonna wear my crown, but I don't want to steal people's gimmicks. But Wrestling Doll, what is your number 2? We can't wait to hear it. Please take the floor.
So one person from that was actually mentioned just now in one of the comments. This would be Bayley versus Sasha, Hell in a Cell 2020. Ooh. Now, every single women's Hell in a Cell match, Sasha being in the first 3 before they added Bianca in that list, I could do a top 5 Hell in a Cell matches and have all 3 of those in there, this one being one of them. These two have had a long up and down frenemy storyline, from being the first women's tag team champions to being tag team champions and women's champion at the same time, to betraying each other, turning on each other left and right in so many different ways that we can't even figure out how they could possibly turn on each other anymore. They made it so personal. They held nothing back. And since Sasha had 2 Hell in a Cell matches at that time, Bayley had 0 experience at that time. It gave Sasha the upper hand to do whatever she wanted and destroy and make Bayley into a shell of a woman and take the belts away from her. But this match was great. I will also put out honorable mention number 12 and say Becky versus Sasha Hell in a Cell, because I can't help it. I just watched that match back not that long ago, and that one was also incredible.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, Bayley and Sasha, or Mercedes Moné, they have such great chemistry. These girls, when they go out there, they don't take it personal. They just go like, I've heard a lot with wrestlers, it's like, yeah, you can have a good match with somebody, but they'll be like, but with your best friend? Oh, you're going to kill it. And these girls, every time they get in the ring, I will later save a match that I think you put in your honorable mention. There's so many women's wrestling matches that are so good that I feel like we want to save ones that, oh, check this out and stuff like that. But I feel like, I think you said in your, what is this thing called? Honorable mentions. I'm sorry. I had to think about that. But yeah, these girls went out there, killed it, loved that Hell in a Cell match, pandemic era. And that's also, too, you got to remember that. It was the pandemic era.
No crowd, just people watching through a screen.
It was so hard to watch wrestling around that time. But when you're a wrestling fan and you stick with them for the last 15 years, you're like, I'm not going to stop. I would sit here and say, I'm going to watch wrestling for the rest of my life. Bayley and Sasha are still best friends.
They never stop being best friends. They're that good at
convincing.
Stop. So mind-blowing.
I might have to clean up my mind mecum thingy. I don't know
I
what
think
the
I
word
need to
is.
go through
Nice.
Instagram and Twitter and all that and find pictures of them and see if that's true.
I thought they hated each other.
I know, right?
Kayfabe is real.
But no, they have great chemistry. But please take the floor, King Von.
I mean, for one, as soon as you said that, I was like, I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that to come up on the list. You know, great minds think alike. That is an all-time classic match because of the chemistry, because of them being BFFs, and also like with the fact that, you know, like how Sasha or Mercedes can be a natural heel, and you know, and Bayley, you know, being was naturally more of a baby face, but for them to turn the tables and for Bayley to be so convincing as a heel, a heel against Sasha, you know, like for her to be so believable in that angle. And so and also another thing is I gotta point this out as I thought about it. If you look carefully, how Sasha was wearing white and she had the blue hair. For those who are, you know, in the video games, that was reference to Felicia from Darkstalkers. And so like that's what was an homage to. And I love how at the end of the match, when Sasha has Bayley in the bank statement, how Bayley's reaching for the chair or whatever, and Sasha just keeps stomping on that chair that's, you know, that's in Bayley's hand, and eventually Bayley taps out. And I was like, yeah, this is absolutely perfect. We want to talk about storytelling. We want to talk about, you know, like the finale for feud, you know, friends turn enemies, frenemies, whatever, best friends, better enemies type of thing. That is exactly what that was. So in that summation, I have no problem if you want to put that, you know, as number 2 on that list. And you can make a case for that even being greater than, even surpassing probably even the NXT Takeover Brooklyn match and that NXT Takeover Respect match. And that says a lot.
It is, because they've had so many great matches, and I do still pick Brooklyn. It was just so magical.
Yeah.
And their Respect match was really, really good. Matter of fact, there's so many callbacks, right? So Brooklyn was so good. You know, the ending. So SummerSlam is like, okay, so cheap, not even cheap plug, but just backstory, right? My birthday's in August. NXT was in Brooklyn. I didn't go because I was dumb. I should have went, but I didn't go. And then I watched it on my iPad. And I said, this, well, now it's PLE. I mean, for the new kids, the PLE. But back in the day, it was called pay-per-view. And I was so
excited because I paid to view it on Peacock.
Exactly. Hello.
Well, there you go. I'm glad that you said Peacock, because some people said, "Yeah, I watched it on the cock," and I was like, "Okay,
no,
that's Knox right there."
Grow up, Michael. I spoke to him today. Shout out to him because he's having 20 years with his lovely lady. So shout out to him. Love is in the air. We love that here. So shout out to him. Yes, happy anniversary. And you know, Mike Knox, I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Knox because he knows how to fluff me up, because he sat and said, "You're America's ass." I said, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you ask of me."
Man.
I'm easily influenced, as you can tell. But they have such good chemistry that, you know, that no matter what match that you pick, you could pick Brooklyn, you could put Respect, and I'm pretty sure there's other matches in between, and you could always switch it up. Everyone's list is going to be different. But Wrestling Doll, please, this is your show. But I do want to take the floor real quick. You was talking about matches, and I don't know if you have a recommendation, the kind of match that you think that she should watch, Vaughn. I know this is just off the cuff, but I do want to say, because there's so many great women's wrestling matches. I don't know if this was on your list, but I wanted to point this out. So originally I wanted to say Sasha against Bayley, NXT Brooklyn, but I feel like that's so talked about. But another good match that Sasha had, and I don't know if it gets the same eyeballs. I thought her and Becky had such a great match. And maybe you said this in your thing, right? Maybe I didn't hear it. But her Becky and Sasha had a great NXT TakeOver match. I forget which TakeOver it was. But they had such a really good match. It was such a good storytelling. And this was the match that was Becky's coming out party, if you will. You know, she had that. They gave her that Irish gimmick. You know, she was dancing. Yeah, well, no, she wasn't even the last kicker. She just wore green, and she would just break out to an Irish dance.
I remember that.
And then you remember that, right? And then eventually they. What was that? I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said Lucky Charms back in days.
Yeah, I don't want. I mean, I don't want to like bash on Lucky Charms.
Anyway, I'm not trying to be funny, but basically.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say the cereal sucks.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're saying. But then eventually she turned heel. She was with Sasha. Anyway, she started turning baby. She started getting some wins. It was such a fantastic match. I don't remember what takeover it was, but please, I would say check that match out. Ron, is there any kind of match that you think that she should watch? I know you're full of history. I know this because you talk about certain matches. I was listening. Shout out to King Vaughn. Please check out his podcast, the Victorious Podcast. I listen to it when I'm at work. I was listening to the other day, and Vaughn said, "Yeah, if you don't know about that Lou Thesz against." Because his history goes far back, but please take the floor. Yes. Is there anything that
So like, that was about my 50 greatest wrestlers list. You probably reference to too, but the thing about it is that like when it comes to greatest women's matches, you could pick anything like as far as like Sasha versus Charlotte. Like you look at their series of matches, that's pretty much like the women's equivalent. I agree with Rick when he said that Sasha was Charlotte's Steamboat. You know what I mean? And so in that case, you could say that Becky is Charlotte's Dusty. You know what I mean? So and if she take over Unstoppable, that's the name of it. All right, cool. Thank you. But of course, like I say, you can look at that. Like I say, like I said, when it comes to those matches, the WrestleMania triple threat. You know what I mean? So like I said, and also like I said, it's just. It was like Charms out exactly, but like I said, it's just a plethora of different different sort of like Becky matches and Charlotte versus Sasha matches, things like that. And so it's just like for the sake of time, I would just look up any one of those variety of matches because just because of how great the Four Horsewomen have always been, for them to constantly have classic matches, with each other, just intertwine the way they did. I'll also, look up, I also go back and watch the series of Bianca versus Becky matches. You know what I mean? So like I said, that like I would definitely go with any of those selections and any of those rotations of matches, basically.
Well, I would most definitely check out that match from Sasha and Becky at TakeOver. I did watch the triple threat match at WrestleMania, so I do know what you're talking about. Shout out to Sasha for that Eddie Guerrero inspired gear. That's and right. I won't lie, when during that Hell in a Cell match, when she came out in that, I thought she came out in that like foreshadowing that she was going to be the new SmackDown Women's Championship with the blue hair and the all white gear. I thought she was coming for Bayley and being like, look at me.
Yeah.
This is the new champion right here. But we have now hit the number one. Now, I've mentioned this before quite a bit on the channel. I've mentioned it before on my channel, on my video discussing my wrestling journey. The match that brought me into women's wrestling in the WWE, the match that I watched, that I could not keep my eyes off, that I was interested in the entire time. And I remember because this day I was helping my friends move into their new house, and it happened to be night one of WrestleMania 37. Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is the match that brought me into watching the WWE. This is the match that brought me into watching all those other matches in the first place. If it was not for that match, for two women of color making history because Bianca picked her to challenge after winning the 2021 Royal Rumble in the pandemic era and win an ESPY award for that. Lives changed. History was made. Bianca became a dominant champion on SmackDown, became a good dominant champion for a while on Raw. The only things that she's missing is being NXT Women's Champion and Tag Champions to become Grand Slam champion number 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, depending when that happens. But I will recommend this match to everybody and their mamas for a good women's match. It cannot be.
You hear that, mama?
Yeah. What's the name? Billy Miss. Yeah, definitely.
I saw Bailey for the first time at that WrestleMania. I saw her talking with the Bell Twins, and I thought that she was just somebody that worked like backstage or something. I did not know that she was a wrestler.
Wow.
You know what's funny?
She was just a wrestler. She was just like she was trying to give interviews or something.
To be fair, she was new to it, and
she was
when you
new.
see
Yeah,
her,
that's all right.
yeah. And I was gonna say,
I was newborn.
I was
My wrestling journey was born.
I was gonna say I met Bailey last year at WrestleMania, and she is just. I just, we just randomly saw her walk, and I was like, "Hey, girl, get a picture." And she was so sweet. I thought that was so because she didn't have to say. She could have said no. So I will forever be a big fan. I think, and I agree with Jeffrey in the chat. He sat here and said, he said, good one, and I agree. It's been a while since I watched this match, but like you mentioned, women of color, they're out there, and when you see the emotion, they knew how big this match was or is, right? Women. My co-host that I do Big Pop with, and we did an award show, and she talked about how she saw women who looked like her, and this is a woman, in her 20s. So you can imagine what that felt like for little black girls, 5, 6, and they're like, that looked like me. That looked like me. That could be me one day. Fantastic pick. These women went out there, they killed it. Seeing Sasha after the match.
Smile.
And I don't think she knew that the cameras were on her, but you see her just so happy that Bianca had her moment. And giving her Bianca one of her best matches. I can't sit here and say I disagree. I think this match was fantastic. I thought these women went out there and not only had a great match, but just showed like, yeah, we can main event Mania. And I want to see more of that, honestly. So shout out to them for doing the big one. King Von, please take the floor.
What else can you say about that? I mean, I have zero problem with that being number one, just because of the historic significance of it, the impact of it, as far as two women of color, two black women in the main event of a WrestleMania. It doesn't matter if it's night 1 or night 2.
Night 1.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter. I already know it's night 1, but yeah, like I said, it didn't matter which night it was. The fact that they even made history for it. The fact that they won an ESPY, the fact that Bianca won the Women's Royal Rumble before that, and how this match solidified her, catapulted her to a whole nother stratosphere to where she is now. You know what I mean? And so like the cultural impact, significance of it. That's two African Americans main event WrestleMania. There you go. Michael Cole said it that he said it with his chest. You know what I mean? And so like I said, for them to carry night 1 the way that they did, I mean, they elevated that WrestleMania, like I said, to just unbelievable heights. You know what I mean? So it's just like Bianca's stock's forever been sealed. Pretty much from that point on. And you look at her upside after that, and like I said, it's just just elevated just to the stratosphere, man. So like I said, with that being number 1, hey, I ain't got no problem with that at all. Just because of impact.
And it's funny that Vaughn says it because he wasn't trying to make a funny, but it is Thursday night and Impact is on. So I just wanted to sit there and say I chuckled a little bit, and I sat here and said, yeah, I said that. And I sit here and say I realized that the competition for funniest host is getting a little too steep, and I don't appreciate all these people coming for my award.
We're not trying. Cool. If we get nominated or somebody votes for us, that is not our fault.
I want everyone in the chat to make sure that I am voted funniest host, because I plan on taking many awards this year because I deserve it.
Don't we technically vote for that amongst ourselves?
Huh?
Don't we technically vote for that amongst ourselves?
I want the chat involved because I think the chat likes me. I think one of them do. This Chris guy, I think, likes me. I don't know so much, but I'm going to say, Chris, you're part of the Jat Pack community. We're giving you a shirt. But these were great. These were fantastic picks, Wrestling Doll. this show was dedicated to you and your top five. Me and Vaughn were here to give our feedbacks on these matches. Some matches I do, in fact, have to watch back on because it's been a while. But some matches I'm like, yo, I remember that, and it triggers a certain memory. Women's wrestling is so important, and I'm glad that it is getting the eyeballs that it deserves. And it's also not even just the eyeballs. It's not the eyeballs, but the respect that it deserves.
That's right. Yes.
Oh well, Chris, I just want to put in the chat, point out, Chris says he liked all of us, so he's a very friendly fellow. Chris, we like you. We appreciate that you are here, and we hope that you continue to follow Unpopular Review because there's so much content here on this channel. It's wrestling. We have entertainment. I don't know if they're doing entertainment tonight. Well, there is an entertainment show tonight. I'm doing a double tonight. I'm going to be reviewing the challenge with one Sawyer. So I will be back on again tonight. When in doubt, break glass, send Jack out. That's just how things go. But I was glad to do the show with you, Wrestling Doll. We work on Tuesdays. Vaughn, we don't work enough together enough. We did the Bret Hart top 5 matches. It was fantastic. It's great to see someone who have respect for the Hitman, because I'm not going to sit here and hold you. Bret Hart don't get enough respect, and I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I want to get violent, but I realize I wouldn't do well in jail. So that's why I am not violent.
There you go.
And Jeffrey said y'all are all great. Jeffrey too. Jeffrey, give yourself 10 points. That's the thing I do in this show. I tell people they give themselves some points. Jeffrey's fantastic. He's a big follower from Popular Review. Russell Dog, good job. I think we plugged everything that we need to. I don't know what the next top 5.
Channel, of course.
Please, definitely say it out. Say, what is your channel? I'm sorry I don't have the picture and everything.
I said it on Tuesday on my birthday. I will say it again here tonight. My YouTube channel is, as under my many names now, like Mike Knox, the Unofficial Camera Woman, where I go around Central Florida to film and record wrestling matches of many indie wrestlers, some that may have been on WWE and some that may have been on AEW, or both, or Impact, or NWA, etc., etc. We're at that 881 mark because of Chris last night. I need that 119 to get that 1K, and then I can keep growing from there.
Let's
I'm not gonna do the whole deadline thing because that's not me, but I just wanted to keep growing because I love y'all.
Keep it going.
Let's get that growing. Let's get that going, Vaughn.
Now people who like talking about it.
Fantastic. Make sure you follow her on YouTube. If you follow her already, unfollow and follow again, because nothing about that.
Oh no, I wouldn't say it. If you follow,
okay, don't do that. Don't listen to me. I'm just
recommend it to other people that you know that like wrestling, or any that wants to check out wrestling in another state. Because Florida's got some good wrestlers out there. We've been known as the forgotten state in some places, and that is terrible.
That is awful. Vaughn, you are a content creator yourself, so please take the floor and tell the lovely people where they can catch you. I know where to catch you because I listen to you on the audio. I be at work. I'm sorry. Let me take the floor real quick. Oh, you want to say you're pointing at it, but you know what? I'm talking so much. I'm really good at talking. But please tell the people where they can find me.
Okay, so of course under my name is my Twitter handle. I still call it Twitter. At 301 King Von Jr.
So don't worry.
Absolutely, you know what I mean. So of course you can follow.
Just like I call PLE's pay-per-views, I'm going to keep calling X Twitter because that's what it is.
So anyway, like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Twitter page at Victory Pod 1. I'm on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Instagram at Victorious Ones Podcast. In fact, yesterday I did an interview with Marcus Marquis of Prolific. Of course, one of the top factions on the indie wrestling scene in New York. And so like I said, I did that. And of course, I was on Backstage Brawl this past Saturday discussing comic books. Thank you. Discussing comic books and wrestling counterparts and comparisons. And so as far as that, pretty much, that's what I'm doing. In fact, I think next week I'm going to actually do an episode where I'm going to dive even deeper into that, like exclusively. I'm already writing articles about that right now, but just to verbalize that actually on, like, for an entire show, I'm going to do something about that. But yeah, like I said, that's what I'm up to right now, But yeah, like I said, it's a pleasure to be on here. discussing women's wrestling and going over the top 5 list. So thank you very much.
And that's fantastic. I feel like everyone plugged, and I feel like I should plug something. I had to plug in my charger for my laptop. That was funny. Thank you. No one can beat me in humor. Yeah, that's Steven Pena. But I do want to plug real quick. I have an audio podcast. It's with I think I'm on with somebody. I don't know. But there's a podcast. It's an audio. I'm on with Shay Sawyer. We talk about wrestling on the Big Pop Theory podcast. It's an audio podcast. I'm spending a lot of time yelling and mentioning how Auntie Mary J. Blige with the platinum wig talking about no hateration and ooh. Yes, she sung that. Look that up if you don't believe me. We got George in the chat. The show is about to end, George. But please check out the audio podcast. It is on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Please follow us on all our different platforms, but we're here on Unpopular Review to give the review Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT. Am I missing anything? Wrestling news. Mike Knox has a show on Mondays. Check him out. It's for the intelligent wrestling fan. And I know you guys will be there because you guys are smart. So you guys should be there. And with that all said, Wrestling Doll, please take it home because I will keep us here for another 10 minutes.
Well, I'm just going to say this real quickly. Don't forget to check me and the bad guy here out next Tuesday to discuss all things NXT related. All the crazy that we love and adore from our NXT superstar roster. And wonder what they're going to do now with some of these people that they unfortunately let go.
Yeah,
I feel bad for the people that got let go. But I know that a lot of them can make a good future in other companies.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
I will say this because, sorry to cut you off, but they did put this person's stuff out. Dolph Ziggler, 19 years in WWE, 1,554 matches. This man put out.
Yeah, Cena.
Wow.
He was champion, and he got let go. And if you go see this, God forbid, if they team up with his brother, please make it work and please make it decent. Don't just
okay. I think we can have like 2 minutes. I mean, because it is something to talk about.
Deserves more respect.
I think we could spend 2 minutes about it. It's unfortunate when you hear people lose their job. I know for a fact that a lot of these guys are going to be able to get back on their feet and they're going to be well. I was really disappointed hearing about Mustafa Ali and Emma, and it's sad that all of them got let go because I don't pray for people to lose their job. I think that's just awful. But Emma, because I sat here and said they brought her back last year.
And they did nothing with her.
They have done nothing with her. And I feel like she was definitely someone who could have been a player in the women's division. You think about Emma, and she had this fantastic match with, I was sitting here and said another recommendation. Her and Paige, it was the first NXT takeover. It was a fantastic match.
Was before the women's championship belt? Was that the inaugural match?
Yes. Oh, no. That was the first takeover. It was the first takeover. And it was a really good match. And I thought that was a shame that they let her go because they brought her back for nothing. And then Mustafa Ali, I really enjoyed. He was booked better in NXT than on the main roster. Well, now we ain't
gonna see him at No Mercy.
Nope.
No. And he also won number one contender. What was that all about?
I feel like it's gonna happen when Raw happens and Dominic go against Dragon Lee. Dominic's gonna do some sneaky ass shit to cheat, and Dragon Lee's not gonna have it. So when he loses because Dominic cheats his way to keep the belt, he's gonna make it a no DQ match, or he's gonna make it a Street Fighter, something that they can do whatever the hell they want, and nobody can get disqualified for interference or using weapons or anything at No Mercy. If not, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do. And if they don't do something like that, then they miss out on a good opportunity.
I see.
Dragon Lee can take the belt from him right at No Mercy.
I can see Dragon Lee taking it on Monday. I still think that's the plan because that was my thought that he would win it. Now, originally my plan, my thought process was he would win it on Monday and maybe face Mustafa at some point because obviously I didn't know that he was going to be cut. I didn't know that.
Well, he didn't want to get let go before, so it's not surprising.
We got Jeffrey wrote in the chat, I'm mad about Dana because what's going on with her and Kiani.
We didn't get that eventual heel turn on her
No.
against Kaylani. I mean, hell, what they could have done, and somebody, like I always say, I follow women's wrestling fan pages on Instagram, and somebody made a picture of her, Emma, and Aaliyah. They could have called them to come down to NXT, like called Emma to come down and brought Aaliyah back and have them both with her, like be like a little faction almost, sort of, and go out and go against Kaylani. And then Kaylani could find some other people to team up with Lyra and somebody else. I felt like that could have been an interesting take on it after seeing that picture. But hey, I'm not uncreative, although I could probably do a better job than whatever the hell they're smoking over there.
And I hope they're not smoking because that's awful. But it's unfortunate that a lot of these people got let go. I do want to say into that I'm disappointed in certain things, but these people are going to bounce back. And a lot of people even saying, oh, they're going to go to AEW. AEW can't grab all this talent, and even then, for some of them, but
gets too many of them. It's like 5 seconds at this point. Impact is out there. NWA is out there. MLW is out there. They could go to New Japan.
So and also to New Japan. I forgot about that, but I was thinking about Impact and NWA because obviously I don't watch a lot of New Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, but a lot of them can also, and I concur to that because not everyone could go to AEW, and then when you even look at AEW, there's a lot of talent that they're not even utilizing. So I look at someone like Mustafa Ali. I think he would kill it on Impact. I think it would be a good fit for him on there. Now, Emma, I forgot her real name, but she was on Impact.
Neil Dashwood.
I wouldn't even really put her. I would not. So if I put her in AEW, she would probably be a lackey for Saraya, or maybe just a tag team partner. Maybe lackey is a terrible word, but I don't know if she want to do. I don't know if she want to do that. So all I'm just saying is, and I concur. I think everyone thinks AEW because they got more TV time, but I sit here and say it could buff up. Some of these releases could buff up an Impact and NWA. And I think that would be fantastic because these are brands
have a great indie run. Matt Cardona, for example, the indie god. Like I said before, he makes more money now than he ever did on WWE.
I watch him on Hog. I didn't go to the last show, but he has been killing it lately. I concur with that.
I saw him on a match for Battlefield Pro Wrestling that I did plug on Tuesday for someone else. I watched this match against someone named Casey Navarro. That match was amazing. And that Casey guy, he did a Zack Ryder reference to him, and that was so funny. I died laughing.
And you know what? We'll end it with that. If someone could just take the controls, we're going to call it because I know we could sit here and have a conversation big time about it. Once again, it sucks that these people got let go, but I don't want to say I promise, but I can't help but say these men and women, they're going to bounce back on their feet. They're going to find some work. And I just sit here and say support them and whatever they do. So
that's right.
Thank you for watching Unpopular Review. Continue to follow us on all social media platforms. And
all the platforms over on the sides of Mr. Vaughn.
Mr. Vaughn, that's right, Mr. Vaughn. Yeah, this guy's Mr. Vaughn. That's fantastic. I'm changing my Twitter now to Mr. Bad Guy. Wow. But
Mr. Grand Slam Pooba.
Let's get that going. We got merch to sell, but let's take it home. I don't even think we have an outro. Do we have?
We have the outro. We just don't have the picture for the end of it.
All right, hit the outro and hit the end, guys. Thank you for watching on Public View. Good job, Russell Dog. Good job, King Vaughn. We'll catch you guys again for more top 5 and more UPR shenanigans. And please, everyone, stop having me talk because I will keep talking.
All right. See you. Good night.
What the hell is that? Did it end? Thank you for watching.